Hey guys, it's Kelly. Welcome back to my channel. I am going to be showing y'all the books that I read for the month of August. I read a total of 8 books, and I know that looks like 6 because my stupid self sent back 2 of the books I read to the library. But anyways, I'm going to go through them in order, and I'm going to show you my ratings, and the 2 that I sent back to the library I will be showing a picture right here. So without further ado, let's get into what I read. Okay, the first book I read was the 4th book in the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants series, Forever in Blue. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. It's, to be honest, I forgot what it was about. It was not memorable, but I did enjoy it because I could not put it down. I think this is when Bridget goes to Turkey to be the archaeologist. And if you've seen the movies, then you know what I'm talking about. Carmen is also doing the acting camp, and she's being all sulky and gloomy and just aggravating as hell. Tibby has her scare. If I'm spoiling y'all, I'm sorry, but I'll put like spoilers in the top of the description, so make sure you read my descriptions. But they're still hung up on their same shit. Also, Bridget's family, her dad and brother, she tries to get them to all come together and stop being loners. The next book I read was A Mango-Shaped Space by Wendy Mass. I also gave this a 4 out of 5. I got this from my library because it was on the Books A Million summer reading list, and me and the girls read it and we enjoyed it. I did tear up at the end because of the cat. Yeah. Well, I teared up at the beginning too because of the dog. But it was really good. It's about this girl who sees colors, and she joins this group of other people who see and taste colors, and their letters are colors, and yeah. It was a good book. I highly enjoyed it. I will be adding it to my collection. The girls want their own copy, so I will be buying that for them for Christmas. And we've also talked about what color Luna would be. The 3rd book I read for the month of August was Flame of Resistance. I got this a couple months ago from Tyndale House Publishing, and it was a part of their reader rewards program, where if you had a certain amount of points you can redeem it. So I didn't have to necessarily give a review on this. This is set in World War II. It's about this American pilot. His plane gets shot down, and he gets picked up by resistance and gets hidden, and they ask him to pretend to be a German soldier because he has the Aryan look. He has the blonde hair, the bright blue eyes, he's tall, strong, and he's part Dutch because his mother's family was Dutch, and they were killed in World War I. It was good. I enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I have a lot of 4 out of 5s this month. The only thing that I didn't enjoy was that the ending was really abrupt. The romance, the relationship between Tom and Brigitte, it got going right at the end, and the ending, they're in the future, and obviously the Allies win the war, and they go back and visit, and they're reminiscing and remembering everybody who was lost. And yeah, the relationship, I wanted more of the relationship. The story, the plot line was amazing. I couldn't put it down, but the relationship, the author did made this like into a romance, but nothing happened with the romance. I want a second one of just their lives after the war, or her time after he was rescued because he got found out. I would like to see more of her time as a resistance fighter without him. The next book I read is The Crescent Stone by Matt Michaelados. This was a review copy from Tyndale House Publishing. This has to be my favorite book that I read in the month of August. It made me laugh, and I remember doing a part on my Vlogust showing all the map at the very beginning and how it had all these little snarky comments written on it and like advice and stuff. See? And right at the very beginning you can figure out which character wrote all that, and he is so humorous. It's about a girl named Madeline Oliver. She has a terminal lung illness. She is having trouble breathing, and one day she goes to school and she's having trouble breathing. She's in her chemistry class, her first class of the day, which was also my first class of the day in my junior year, and I hated it. And her partner, Jason, the funny dude, he starts bantering with her back and forth and was like, "You don't look so good." And she goes, "Thanks for telling me that. I'm sick." The whole school knows she's sick and knows she's dying. And she ends up fainting. He grabs her and takes her straight to the hospital, and while she's like suffocating, this magical person, Hanley, he comes into her hospital room and offers her a deal, kind of like Rumpelstiltskin. If you come and serve 1 year with us, we will let you breathe. We will give you the freedom to breathe normally. And then she wants to take it. Jason comes with her not as a service to the Ellenil. I think that's what they're called, Ellenil. But he offers his service to her in exchange for chocolate pudding cups every morning. Yeah, it's very funny. It's magical, and the service is help the Ellenil fight the, oh crap, what they're called. The Skim. The Ellenil help the Ellenil fight the Skim for a year. The Skim are the outcast of this group of people. They have had their magical items and magic taken away, and they're living in the wastelands. So yeah, it's good. I cannot wait for the second book next year. I think it's called the Heartwood Crown, coming summer 2019. So, yeah. I haven't read the first chapter, even though it's in the book. But, yeah, I might bump my rating up to 4 out of 5 on this one because I love it. So thank you, Tyndale House Publishing, for sending me this. The fifth book I read for the month of August is The Isle of the Lost by Melissa De La Cruz. This was another book on the Books A Million summer reading list. It's what if Disney villains all got grouped together under this dome and they had children. It's about 4 villain kids, Evie, Mal, Jay, and Carlos. Mal is Maleficent's daughter, Evie is the Evil Queen's daughter, Jay is Jafar's son, and Carlos is Cruella de Vil's son. And as y'all know, Cruella de Vil is my favorite. I ended up giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I could not put it down. The only thing that I had a problem with is, since Cruella de Vil is my favorite villain, they made her son so weak. He was a scaredy cat. I hated Carlos. It was even though he made the box to put the hole in the dome. No. No. Mm-mm. But I enjoyed everything else. Sammy freaking loved it because the Beast was king, and they made Aurora. Wasn't it Aurora? Who? They made the prince's betrothed stupid as crap. I didn't enjoy that. We read the book and then we watched the movie, and I looked it up, and the book is the prequel to the movie, and then the second book comes right after the first movie, and then the second movie comes after the second book. It's like book, movie, book, movie, book, movie. And yeah, I am going to be getting the second book soon. And I also didn't like how they did the Evil Queen, how she was obsessed with beauty. I mean, that was just, I know she was wanting to be the fairest of them all, but I thought it meant more than just looks. The sixth book I read for the month of August was City of Glass by Cassandra Clare, the third book in the Mortal Instruments series. I am starting to enjoy the series. Simon did not get on my nerves. I found him okay. He's still not my favorite, but he was more useful and not a whiny vampire. He was trying to help in the circumstances that he was dealt, and Magnus Bane, he made me laugh my ass off. He was super hilarious. Yeah. And the relationship, I could not, I was like, give me more. I know they got to get together. I mean, come on. Tell your parents. Tell somebody. And yeah, this one was good. We also meet some new characters. Sebastian, I got to admit, I kind of like Sebastian. And if you have not read this, then you might want to and if you have read it, then you know who I'm talking about. Alright, once I put this book down, then you can unmute, but since this is up, for those who have not read this yet, mute me until I put this down. Okay, I'll give you a second. 2, 3. I like the imposter Simon. I kind of got a feeling that he was going to be evil once Cassandra Clare put that he felt that Clary somehow recognized him, and it was actually her brother. God. But yeah. Okay, so unmute me. Can you hear me? Yay. Okay. But this was awesome. I am reading in publication order, so the next book that I am reading is going to be Clockwork Angel, the first book in the Infernal Devices. And so if y'all want to read with me, comment down below and we'll buddy read. I plan on trying to get to that book this month in September. And the next video I'm going to be doing is my September TBR. But yeah, I can't wait to get to City of Lost Souls. Ain't that the fourth one? I think. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I got them all. Yeah, I gave this one a 4 out of 5. Second to the last book. We're almost done, and I'm losing space on my phone again. Stupid Google. But the 7th book that I read was Hidden Among the Stars. This was another book from Tyndale House Publishing. I got it as a review copy, and it's a World War II, if you can't see the swastika. I gave this a 3 out of 5. Since it came from Tyndale, it is like Christian fiction, and it takes place in 2 different times. The first is the past in 1938 in Austria, and then the second is present day in Ohio. So I, of course, like the past chapters more. It's about these three people. One is caretaker's daughter, one is a Jewish violinist, and then the third is a male who is an Austrian. He's the son of a wealthy Austrian banker, and he's in love with the Jewish violinist named Liz. I'm gonna call her Lizzie because that's her nickname. So Hitler's troops have just annexed Vienna into Germany, or have just annexed Austria into Germany. And Max, the Austrian, he's trying to help all his Jewish friends hide their artifacts. His family has a summer house on this Lake Haustedt, and it's a real place. The author went backpacking in Austria and went to this castle. I think it's Swan Castle, or I've already like Googled it because I needed to know about this castle. And he takes their belongings and hides them around that castle. He enlists the help of Anika, the caretaker's daughter, to hide these artifacts and to also care for Lucia when he brings her to the castle to hide her. Her mother has died from just being brokenhearted, that the Jewish people are getting all this hate, and that they're being condemned, and that they're getting taken away and put in concentration camps. Her father was taken in a roundup, and he was sent to a Jewish labor camp where he ultimately died. Now the present, it's about this woman who owns a bookstore. She finds this old copy of Bambi, and it's got these handwritten lists on the pages to match exactly the font. Turns out it's the list that Anika wrote when she was hiding the stuff. And it's Anika, and she goes to try to find Anika, and she meets this professor who's been doing research because his uncle met a woman who knew the story, and so they bond over that. I'm not going to tell y'all any more of the story because I'm going to end up spoiling the whole damn thing. But the reason I gave it a 3 out of 5 is because I loved the present. Every time the present would get to a good part at the end of a chapter, it would automatically end and then go straight to the present. And I absolutely hated the present chapters. Callie Randall, she's the main chick in the present, the bookstore owner. She is a woman scorned. Let's say that. She was engaged, and then her fiance leaves her the day before the wedding. He finds someone else and falls head over heels in love with her. They're married, and they have a kid on the way. She is obsessed with that. She got on my nerves a lot. She was a Bible pusher, and every guy that walked into the library, she would like, I wonder if he's married, and look at his hand to see if he had a wedding ring on, or if families came into the library or the bookstore, she would get all jealous and envious and say, oh, what I would give to have that. So yeah, when she meets the professor, she sees a picture of him, his wife, and their daughter, and she automatically deflates and wants to leave. Like, girl, you are not there to get a husband. I hated this. I didn't hate it, but I hated the present chapters, and I could have done without. I skipped most of the present chapters. If it wasn't, I didn't skip present chapters, I mostly skimmed. If it wasn't talking about the treasure and the Nazis and Anika, then I wasn't reading it. If it was talking about God and how she wanted to find a husband and have a family, I skipped. But 3 out of 5. And then the last book that I read for the month was for my classic and nonfiction challenges that I set for myself this year, and that was Night by Elie Wiesel. Oh, God. I had to keep reminding myself that this was nonfiction and that this was not a made-up story. It was that... Oh, it was that excruciating. It was painful to think that people were put through these things, that the babies were tossed up in the air and shot with machine guns, and that they just put people into fiery pits, and but he was a Transylvanian Jew who automatically, his neighborhood was turned into a ghetto, and then he got evacuated from that ghetto into Auschwitz. But it mainly talks about Auschwitz. They don't talk about the other camps that he was also sent to. I think it's because Auschwitz is like the most talked about concentration camp from World War II. But he was sent to other labor camps, and yeah. But it talks about his train. He talks about his train rides and how his father, how he was not hateful against his father, that he had to keep feeding him and stuff, but he would feel that. He would feel animosity towards his father and then automatically feel guilt for thinking that, because most people had already lost fathers and sons and daughters and mothers and grandmothers, and yeah, and he still had his father. But it talks about his eventual liberation, and I had to keep reminding myself that this was a nonfiction. I also had trouble deciding whether to rate this book or not, because although the events in this were terrible and horrendous and should not have happened and should not ever happen again, I ended up giving this book a 5 out of 5. How could I rate this an amazing book when the events in it are so horrible, and that he had to live through all of this? And right after I got through reading, I watched his Oprah interview where they went and toured Auschwitz, and he just, you could see his eyes, he just looked anguished, and like it pained him to be back there, even though he was walking around a free man. So, and he died in 2016, I think, so I'm hoping that he is resting peacefully and that he got to see his mother and father and his little sister again. That is it for my August wrap up. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I will see you on my next video. Bye.